A very good morning to you, Mike, Vivian, and definitely to you joining us from wherever you are across the country. My name is Maria Mbo, and definitely I'll be bringing you up to speed with what is happening in as far as the news is concerned, including what has already been mentioned in terms of the collapsing of some of the state corporations. There are details coming up in just a short while. But first things first, the axe is up. 9 state corporations to be dissolved, 42 others with similar mandates consolidated. And police boss Douglas Kanja says he is now ready to appear in court in person to shed light on the missing youth allegedly abducted by security officers. 27,000 households to be connected to the national grid in Kakamega following the launch of the multi-billion fourth phase of the last mile connectivity program. And newly installed American President Donald Trump ruffles the feathers of his opponents and some scholars with his raft of executive orders issued on day one in office. Details coming up in just a short while, but let's start first with the cabinet resolution, where 9 state corporations are set to be dissolved after the cabinet in a sitting in Kakamega on Tuesday ratified a report from the National Treasury on the assessment of 271 state corporations, excluding those earmarked for for privatization, that is. Now, the meeting chaired by President William Ruto resolved that the move will help streamline government operations and reduce wastage while enhancing service delivery. Let's hear more from this report by Gladys Mongai.
9 state corporations are on the chopping board after the cabinet sitting in Kakamega ratified a report by the National Treasury proposing a raft of reforms in state corporations. The decision is aimed at enhancing efficiency, cutting costs, and improving service delivery. The ambitious reforms, according to the cabinet, is part of a broader strategy to reshape Kenya's public sector and realign resources with the national government development goals under the current administration. The 9 to be dissolved include the Kenya SSFLI and Trypanosomiasis Eradication Council, the Kenya Fishing Marketing Authority, Center for Mathematics, Science and Technology Education in Africa, the President's Award Kenya, Nuclear Power and Energy Agency, Kenya National Commission for UNESCO, the Kenya Film and Classification Board, National Council for Nomadic Education, and the Lapset Corridor Development Authority. The functions of these entities will be transferred to the relevant ministries or other state bodies to ensure continuity and improved accountability. The cabinet also plans to consolidate 42 corporations with overlapping mandates into 20 entities. Some notable mergers include the Higher Education Loans Board and the University Fund to better manage education financing and increase access to higher education. The Kenya Tourism Board is also set to merge with Tourism Research Institute to create a unified body for tourism promotion and research. The Kenya Rural Roads Authority and the Kenya Urban Roads Authority will be merged to establish a single roads authority focused on connectivity across rural and urban areas. The Kenya Investment Authority is also set to be merged with the Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency to create a seamless framework for the promotion of investments and exports. The government has also identified 16 state corporations with outdated mandates or those whose services could be better delivered by the private sector. Some of these corporations for privatization include the Numerical Machining Complex and the Kenya Fishing Industries Corporation, which are no longer viable due to the market changes, Pyrethrum Processing Company of Kenya Limited, struggling with declining production and outdated processes, the Tana and Athi River Development Authority, and similar regional development authorities whose mandate can now be incorporated into existing county frameworks. The aim is to offload inefficiencies from the government while encouraging the private sector to invest in these areas. 6 state corporations are also set for restructuring to align their mandates with the national priorities. Among them is the Kenya Utalii College to modernize training in the hospitality and tourism industry, the Postal Corporation of Kenya to adapt to a rapidly evolving digital economy and declining postal services. The Bomas of Kenya is also set for restructuring to reposition itself as a center for cultural tourism. Others include the National Housing Corporation to align it with the affordable housing agenda under the bottom-up economic transformation framework. These changes aim to make these entities more competitive and relevant in their respective sectors. The reforms are further aimed at addressing a growing public debt crisis, increased physical pressures, and inefficiencies in service delivery. With pending bills by state corporations reaching 94.4 billion shillings as of March 2024, the government sees this overhaul as a critical to stabilizing the economy and enhancing the effectiveness of the public services.
President William Ruto has launched the fourth phase of the last mile connectivity program in Kakamega County. At least 26,712 households in the populous county will benefit from the multi-billion project that seeks to have more Kenyans connected to the national grid. The president on a 5-day working tour in Western region, that he is there for a working tour, and Simon Achola tells us more.
Day 3 of his working tour of the Western region, and President William Ruto continued to unwrap goodies for the region.
Tumesema kama serikali ya Kenya, stima isiwe starehe ya wadosi. Stima iwe haki ya kila Mkenya.
Kazi yangu siku ya leo pamoja na wizara yangu ya kawi na mafuta ni kusaidia Mheshimiwa Rais kutekeleza ile ahadi yake aliwapatia. Kwa hivyo mimi nitaendelea kurudi hapa nifanye kazi pamoja na Mheshimiwa Ikana ili kuhakikisha ya kwamba stima imeenezwa katika kila boma.
The president has launched the fourth phase of the last mile connectivity, and 27,712 households in the county are set to benefit.
Sasa tukisha kuwekea stima, si ndio? Ile bill, si nimewaambia hakuna kulipa, lakini bill ya mwezi.
The 2.4 billion project will see at least 392 transformers installed and maximized in Kakamega County alone to ensure more and more Kenyans can access electricity in the county.
Hii Sinyalu hii tutaunganisha watu wa Sinyalu 2,500 kwa huduma ya stima. Tumewapatia pesa shilingi milioni 243 kuhakikisha kwamba nyinyi wangwana uko makwenu haijafika stima, tufikishe stima huko kwenu. Tumeelewana?
The president was accompanied by Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, and the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Masika Wetangula. The leaders rallying the region to remain steadfast in support of the president and his development agenda.
Mheshimiwa Rais amesema hii umoja wa taifa anatafuta ili tulete maendeleo kwa wananchi. Tujenge barabara, tuweke stima, tuweke madawa kwa hospitali, mwananchi wa kawaida apate huduma. Mnakubaliana na rais?
Kama tunataka kwenda mbele na kusukuma gurudumu ya umoja wa nchi na maendeleo, lazima tushirikiane, tumuunge mkono rais wetu. Tutembee pamoja, tuhakikishe Kenya iko united and developing our country as one.
They also lashed out at the impeached former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua over his forays in the county.
Tupotoshwe na watu ambao wametolewa kwa kisheria, kwa kikatiba, alafu wanazurura hapa wanadanganya ati hao ndio watatuunda serikali. Serikali ni hii na sisi tutakuwa hapa. Na mimi nataka niwaambie tumeshikana kabisa, hii Kenya itakuwa na maendeleo zaidi.
Hatutaki watu watoke kule nje kuja kupanga sisi hapa. Unasikia hayo? Ati Oparanya ameenda broad-based, hajafanyiwa hii, hajafanyiwa ile. Hao wajue mimi niko sawa na mimi niko na mdomo yangu, nikiwa na shida zangu mwenyewe nitaongea.
The president heads to Busia County for a series of development projects that will include the launch of markets, dams and Lower Nzoia irrigation scheme.
Now, Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja says he's ready to appear before any court if summoned on the whereabouts of the missing Mlolongo 3. Speaking in Diani, that is in Kwale County, Kanja said he's ready to appear in person to state the true position about the 3 missing persons allegedly abducted by security officers.
Kanja, who was opening a week-long conference for top administration police commanders, said he will honor the court summons over the whereabouts of 3 people still missing after they were picked by people alleged to be security officers.
Hakuna shida yoyote. Na wakati ya kufika kotini, mimi mwenyewe nitafika binafsi. Na tutakuwa na nyinyi pale, si ni kweli? Na nitasema hiyo maneno vile nimesema hapa, sio?
Kanja, however, added that investigations on various cases of abductions are at an advanced stage and that all perpetrators he termed as criminals will be brought to book.
Nimepeana maagizo ya kwamba those investigations nataka zifanywe na zifanywe vizuri na ziweze kumalizika. Jabazi yote ambao anahusika na hiyo mambo akamatwe na apelekwe kotini, achughulikiwe kwa mujibu wa sheria, maana nchi yetu iko na sheria.
The IG also noted that the police service is working to go online by rolling out a digital occurrence book (OB) to enable Kenyans to report cases using their smartphones. A move he said will help curb corruption and improve service delivery.
Sisi kama wakubwa wa vitengo mbalimbali ya polisi tutafuata kuona ya kwamba hiyo ripoti umeweka pale inafuatiliwa. So that way we will make things much better. There are many other services that are offered by the police. Kwa sababu mimi mwenyewe I want the police to be driven to the next level through adoption and the deployment of technology within the policing services.
To the corridors of justice, where the government of Kenya has received a request from the Kingdom of Netherlands for the extradition of Jacobus Brouwer. The Director of Public Prosecutions, through Senior Counsel Vincent Monda, informed a Chief Magistrates Court that the convict is wanted back in his country to serve his jail term in relation to a rape case. Separately, at the Milimani's High Court, the main suspect in the horrific murder of 4 women in Eastleigh late last year has also been charged.
The Dutch courts had convicted the foreign national for 3 offences related to the rape of minors in the year 2020. The prosecution told Chief Magistrate Lucas Onyina that Jacobus's attempts to appeal the conviction and sentencings have been dismissed by the Netherlands courts and should therefore be deported to serve his imprisonment. The court will rule on the deportation orders on 28th January. And the main suspect in the gruesome murders of 4 women from Eastleigh last year has finally been charged. Appearing virtually before Justice Kanye Kimondo, Hashim Danganye alias Hashim Khalif denied killing Dahalo Daud, Amina Dahir, Musaiba Abdi Mohammed, Dekar Abdi Noor Gunare in October last year. Hashim, who is currently at the Nairobi Area Remand Prison, will remain there for 7 days, even as the prosecution had vehemently rejected his release. The case will be mentioned for February 11th for further directions. In Kangundo, 4 suspects in kidnapping of former government official Titus Muchechi Kilika have been arraigned in Kangundo Law Court.
Of the bond shall be allowed for the first in respect of the first and second accused persons. Now for the third and fourth accused, nothing has been provided to link them to the communications or rather to any communication to the complainant.
Appearing before trial magistrate Sami Opande, 2 of them were released on a bond of 5 million shillings while 2 remain in custody after it was established they were threatening Muchechi's life and asking him to withdraw the case from the court. Meanwhile, Tharaka MP Gitonga Murugara, 4 MCAs and 3 other Tharaka Nithi residents have sought to be enjoined in a case at Meru High Court challenging the creation of administrative units in Tharaka Nithi.
Nimekaa kwa mahakama hizi za Kenya miaka 40. Na imani ya kwamba haki itapatikana kwa pande zote mbili.
We are the beneficiaries of these administrative units and therefore we have to show our interest in the matter and defend it so that the outcome is also favorable to our people.
The residents want the operationalization of 4 sub-counties stopped. Those sued include the Attorney General, the Cabinet Secretaries for Interior, Lands, Education and Health.
Over to the U.S., where a section of opponents and scholars and other groups have faulted the U.S. President Donald Trump with his raft of executive orders that he signed on his day one in office. The group say Trump has exceeded his limits of his presidential power and that they will challenge the moves in court. Some of the orders that have sparked outrage include starting the process of withdrawing the U.S. from the World Health Organization, mass deportation of undocumented illegal immigrants back to their countries, and declaring a national emergency at the southern border. Timothy Kipnusu reports.
On his first day in office on Monday, just a few moments after being sworn in as the 47th president of the U.S., making his second return to the White House, President Donald Trump signed a raft of executive orders with far-reaching ramifications.
With these actions, we will begin the complete restoration of America and the revolution of common sense. It's all about common sense.
Trump signed an order to begin a mass crackdown on illegal immigrants. It is feared the crackdown is targeting about 11 million illegal immigrants.
Illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came.
Another sweeping strategy is to end automatic citizenship for U.S.-born children of illegal immigrants. He has also indefinitely suspended refugee resettlement, a program that for decades had allowed hundreds of thousands of people fleeing war and persecution worldwide to seek refuge in the United States. Trump also signed an executive order to begin the process of withdrawing the U.S. from the World Health Organization, making it a second time he has issued such an order. He was critical of how the global agency handled COVID-19, accusing it of being biased towards China. The United States will also recognize only two genders after Trump signed executive orders proclaiming two biological sexes as male and female.
As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
TikTok also got a reprieve after he signed an order to delay the ban for 75 days and allow a possible resolution. In what appeared as a blow to climate change action, Trump signed a withdrawal from Paris Climate Treaty. He also issued 1,600 pardons in connection with the Capitol riots on 6 January 2021. Many prisoners are expected to be released within hours.
Locally, the Media Council of Kenya, MCK, is proposing the formulation of a curriculum which will support capacity building for news editors and sub-editors to enhance the quality of content for news bulletins. Speaking during the launch of this year's annual Journalism Excellence Awards in Nairobi, MCK Chief Executive Officer David Omoyo decried what he termed the increasing number of news stories which do not meet these set ethical standards.
Despite the media remaining a trusted source of information in the country, the Media Council of Kenya is expressing concerns over how stories are packaged. The Media Council of Kenya Chief Executive Officer David Omoyo says there are increasing cases of unethical content dominating news bulletins.
Literally, you watch news 9 up to 10, 15, it's obituaries. Nani ameua, na kama hawajua mtu nani ametusi mwingine and all that, isn't it? We rarely have inspiring stories.
MCK is asking editors and sub-editors to up their game in the review of the stories to enhance quality of news broadcasts.
Most importantly, and I hope the judges will help us, if we need to quickly develop a curriculum for sub-editors and editors. I honestly, because stories come in, isn't it? Against what benchmark do we clear stories as editors?
Meanwhile, the Media Council has launched the 2025 Annual Journalism Excellence Awards with a keen focus on vetting outstanding journalistic work, which focuses on tourism, national cohesion, and animal welfare.
Beginning this year now, we will award good journalism. If it is a health and medical story, it is one health and medical story, the best story. It will be on TV, it will be on radio, it will be on news, there will be one story. And of course, they are runners-up.
And sometimes people ask, what is in an award? Because sometimes some people feel like there's really nothing much to achieve from an award. But I can tell a lot of us who are products of these awards have excelled or have gone a notch higher because of those awards.
Let's look at business now, where the Central Bank of Kenya Governor Dr. Kamau Thuge says the announcement by President Donald Trump that the United States will increase domestic crude oil production and exports will help lower fuel prices that could positively impact the inflation rate in Kenya. Dr. Thuge says increased crude oil production in the United States may lead to reduced global oil prices, thereby lowering fuel prices in Kenya, a significant component of Kenya's inflation metrics.
The inflation crisis was caused by massive overspending and escalating energy prices, and that is why today I will also declare a national energy emergency. We will drill, baby, drill.
The Trump administration is expected to increase funding for oil and gas projects to boost manufacturing by reducing the cost of power. Central Bank of Kenya Governor Kamau Thuge says increased oil production in the U.S. might translate to cheaper global fuel prices and could reduce both Kenya's import bill and inflation.
If that results in lower fuel prices, then it's also possible that that will contribute to lower inflation in the U.S. and also lower global inflation, and that could actually be a positive for the global economy.
However, trade policies that include new or increasing trade tariffs might strengthen the U.S. market, making it attractive to investors.
Federal Reserve System may also reduce the pace at which they would lower interest rates. And again, so if that happens, that also has an indirect impact on us because of the potential of capital now flowing back to the U.S., because interest rates would remain a bit more elevated than our earlier expectation.
Kenya and the United States have been negotiating on an economic partnership agreement that could be impacted by the new policies being implemented by the Trump administration.
Just heard about those pronouncements like you had yourself. So we are waiting and watching to see how things will evolve and studying, and as that, when necessary, then we can be able to take a position.
And shares of HF Group, that is, exchanged hands at between 8 shillings and 96 cents and a high of 9 shillings and 74 cents on a day that the financial listed 1.5 billion new shares it added through a rights issue. Now, the firm's shares closed for trading at 9 shillings and 42 cents, representing a 5.13% price increase when compared to Monday's closing level.
HF Group targeted to raise additional capital by floating 1.15 billion shares through a rights issue that could increase through a greenshoe option. Last month, the listed financier said it received applications for 1.59 billion shares worth 6.38 billion Kenya shillings, with the proceeds expected to finance the firm's expansion and automation.
This money will be put primarily in the bank itself. It's profitable, it is doing well. This is basically steroids to accelerate the growth. 15% of the money will be used to digitize the company to create greater efficiency and effectiveness and in the delivery of the services that we offer.
Officials attributed the over 38.32% oversubscription to high investor confidence.
Your vision, strategic approach, and unwavering commitment have not only strengthened the company's position, but have also reinforced investor confidence in our market's ability to support large transactions, even in a challenging operating environment.
The new shares were listed on the Nairobi Securities Exchange on Tuesday. The shares opened for trading at 8 shillings and 96 cents and touched a high of 9 shillings and 79 cents in the intraday trading before retreating to close at 9 shillings and 42 cents. During the day, 345,600 shares of the company were traded, with the day-to-day movement indicating a 5.13% price increase.
To sports now, where the national under-17 women's soccer team head coach Mildred Cheche is on a quest to qualify the junior starlets to their second FIFA World Cup after their historic debut in 2024. The team is scheduled to start their campaign next month against Uganda in the second round after they were given a bye in the opening round.
Cheche guided the junior starlets to their first ever appearance in the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup in the Dominican Republic, where they recorded a historic win against Mexico, whom they beat 2-1 in their last group match. She believes they are capable of making another consecutive appearance if they come up with another formidable team.
We are hoping to win the match. It's not going to be easy because they are also an experienced side, but we also have a good team that we're going to push them to give us good results.
The Kenyan team was given a bye to the second round of the FIFA World Cup qualifiers this year, where they are scheduled to face Uganda between the 7th and 9th of March this year, before the return leg a week later. Uganda advanced to the second round after a resounding 18-0 aggregate win over Namibia in the first round. The Kenyan tactician expects to win that match, but cautions that it won't be a walk in the park.
It's a big challenge for African countries because I think the reason why they were given 5 years to host the World Cup is because they have quality facilities and they are more organized. So also other African countries should aim to have quality infrastructure.
The Kenya Under-17 women's team hopes to be in the camp by next week so as to prepare for that crucial encounter where the winners will progress to the third and final round of qualifiers. The FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup will be held in Morocco for the first time and will feature 5 African teams out of 24. Morocco has already qualified automatically as the hosts.
Well, that's where we end the bulletin this morning. More news updates coming your way later on in our coverages. And my colleague Mike maybe is coming up next. My name is Marie Yambo.